Hello, it's Kristen here, and this video is about breathing. It's not my first time talking about breathing, and in a way I wish I was talking about breathing less. But the reason I am talking about breathing in this video is that breathing is such a topic of insecurity and confusion, particularly in the world of Pilates, yoga, certain movement practices where breath is a tool to support the practice, or also in areas where breath is a tool to change certain states of ours. So, in meditation, relaxation practices, breath can help us. If we're breathing a certain way, it can help us calm ourselves down or get more energy, or in the movement world, again, it can help us if we're breathing in a specific way at a specific point in the movement. It can really help us facilitate a movement that we might be struggling with. So having said that, breathing also is a very automatic process in our body. It's not a behavior, let's say. So for example, a certain way of doing a movement, like reaching out, would be, it's something that we do all the time for various reasons, and we do it in all sorts of different ways. And we all have our little habits about how we reach out. And we can identify those habits, and we can retrain ourselves to do that differently, potentially. However, breathing doesn't work in that way. And I'm just assuming that might be why we get so confused about breath and sort of get insecure about our breathing, because breathing is not a habit. So we might find ourselves breathing a certain way, or we get told our breathing is not efficient, or breathing is wrong, we breathe badly, or whatever, or we need to do it a certain way. That's all well and good, and if we're focusing on it and someone points it out, we might be able to adapt our breath to what we want. But when we're busy doing other things, our breath is very automatic. So we can, it's one of those rare automatic processes that we do have some control over. So we can change it when we're aware of it, but it's not something that we can practice to do differently all the time. So if we get busy or stressed doing something at work, yes, we can pause, or we can notice our breath and take a moment and try to change it. But we need to be aware of it first. We cannot sort of do a breathing practice a lot to then, in a stressful situation, assume that our breath will sort of stay with the new breathing habit or breathing pattern. Because our breath responds and supports whatever state we're in. So if we're in a stressful situation, our breath will assume the kind of rhythm, the kind of qualities that come with that, for good reason. And yes, again, we can become aware of it and change our breath to reduce our stress levels. But we have to kind of, in that moment, we have to put the work in to change that and to do that. We can't just assume that the breath will change by itself as such. So I believe that that's why it can be so confusing, because as a movement teacher, so many people are coming to me at some point saying, quite early on usually, how should I be breathing? I breathe badly. Oh gosh, am I breathing at all? And I would wish for everyone, that's my wish for humanity, to become more confident about your own breath again. We get told all sorts of things that we apparently do wrong or not so well, or whatever is not good about us. Our breath is very authentically ours, and it changes all the time. And yes, like I said, we can use our breath to promote certain things, to fine-tune movements, to help us settle. And that's fine. But it's not a good place to start in if we're just walking around feeling or having this belief that our breath is terrible and we're breathing badly. So first thing is, you all breathe really well because you're alive. The oxygen is going in, it's going out, You don't have to think about it too much. It happens by itself. It's automatic, and it's helping you stay alive, and you're alive, walking about, right? So you're doing a pretty good job. Your breath is doing well. Doesn't mean that in certain moments or for certain focuses, it may not be useful to make some changes. But that for me always comes a little bit later on, because it can be very overwhelming to figure out what's going on and then also alter our breathing on top of that, right? That's a bit like, it's a lot. And it just confuses us more. And because we're stuck in for confusion, we stop breathing altogether. And that's not helpful. So let's make sure we're in a settled place to start with, that we can then maybe bring the breathing into. But again, first of all, and with this video, what I would like to promote is actually breathing confidence without having to do anything complicated about our breath or change it in any way particularly. So I invite you to do a little breathing practice with me. And yeah, the goal will be just to become confident, to find our breath, our authentic breath again, allowing it and helping it to settle into a settled, supportive breath that is just there, and then to be confident about it and not having to worry about it so much. So before we go into that, just make sure that you're sitting comfortably and you're not getting distracted by anything around you or by having to support yourself in a certain way. So just check how you are sitting right now, or what position you're in. And, you know, maybe you want to put your feet on the ground or really feel your pelvis on your chair. You could even lean back a little bit into something if you prefer. And then just allow a moment to happen, a moment of time and space to expand for you and your authentic breath. And sometimes we find there's a deep breath straight away just because we gave it space, right? Yeah. Nothing complicated needs to happen here. We just want to create space and confidence for our breath to be what it is, to be itself, and to tap into it. So yeah, notice it. Just notice your breath. There's an in-breath, there's an out-breath. There might be a kind of flow to it or a certain pace. And it's doing well. It's doing well. And isn't it awesome that it's doing well without you even having had to do it yourself? You didn't have to do anything about it. Most of the time, we're not aware of our breath, and actually we shouldn't be. It's automatic. Let's have it automatic so that we can focus on other things. So yeah, there it is. And your breath, without ever stopping, has been there for your whole life since you were born. And you didn't have to pay much attention to it all this time. It's doing a really good job for you. See if you can sense into your own, your gratitude to your breath, to this inner automatic mechanism that's just doing this for you. And how amazing the human body is for just doing that for you. And you can trust it. You can be confident in it. It got you this far. It's really cool. It's great. And you might become aware of some expansion that comes with the in-breath and this sort of release, recoil, whatever you would describe it as, that comes with the out-breath. And you might notice it in a certain area of you, so maybe it's in the stomach or the chest, maybe even in your back. Just notice it, and then, where you feel that expansion the most, and be curious about that. Wherever you notice it, that's fine. And if as you're noticing it, it's changing, that's also okay. This will be different depending on your position, on your movements, that will change. And I just wonder if you could sort of identify maybe the sort of difference between the in-breath and the out-breath in terms of, do they feel even, or is there more or a longer or deeper in-breath than the out-breath, or is it the other way around, or do they feel even? And again, depending on how you feel, what's going on in your life, that will change. Again, it's automatic. The breath is also, it can be a tool sometimes, but ultimately and predominantly, it's something that's reacting to our surroundings and the way that we feel. So whether your in-breath is deeper than your out-breath or your out-breath is longer than your in-breath, this can change depending on how you feel, what state of being you're in, what's going on. So for now, as we're just playing with the breath, I wonder if you can find an evenness if it's not there. So if you feel like your in-breath is kind of a bit stronger and deeper and there's more emphasis there, become curious about your out-breath by just spending a little bit more time with it. Most of us tend to be a little bit more on the in-breath side of things. Having said that, that's a generalization. So check really what's true for you. What do you find in yourself? But if you do find your out-breath is sort of a bit like an afterthought, get to know it a little bit more. Let it last a little longer. Just sort of, be with the out-breath a little more. And as you are with the out-breath a little more, and you might breathe out a little longer, do you notice that there are pauses between each in-breath, out-breath, and the next in-breath? So even though there might be flow, if you just allow the breath to do itself and lengthen your out-breath, and you wait, the in-breath comes back just by itself. You don't have to do it. And the out-breath comes when it wants to. And again, there might be that moment, and then the next one happens. So notice, are you doing your breaths, your in-breaths, your out-breaths? Or can you just be with the out-breath that little bit longer, maybe even the in-breath that little bit longer, and really wait for the pauses to arrive and the next phase to arrive, and really feel the automaticity. I know that's not a word. The automatics, I don't know. The automatic mechanisms that are there. You don't have to take over. Yeah, and then again, where's your breath going now as it's expanding in you? Is it the same place you noticed earlier? Has it changed a little bit? And allow your breath to go where it needs to, where it wants to. So is there holding in your body? And you might notice a lot of us women, we're kind of tend to hold our sort of abdominal area, or you might be holding your shoulders. We all have our little holding patterns. And just maybe you can identify them just now. Where is the breath being restricted? Where is it not allowed to go? So if you could allow your breath, or if you could allow your body to support your breath for a change, what would that be like? Rather than the other way around. So rather than using your breath to create or a certain position or movement or whatever, or state, can you let your body support your breath so it's free to go where it wants to go? That it can really expand into your stomach if it wants to go there. That your shoulders can get out the way. That your back can open, your ribs can expand. Maybe even your pelvis and hips can widen. Yeah, you can test it out if you're not sure. Try a few little shifts, move a little. As you breathe, to check out if there's freedom, subtle freedom in all directions for that breath to mold your body. And again, let your feet find the ground, really feel your seat as you move, so you've got a strong base of support. And then again, just settle for a moment and just notice what is now. So you could have a bit of a look around your space if you're kind of having a little different quality to your vision, where you feel a little more connected to the areas that you're connecting to, like your feet with the ground or your sitting bones with the chair, or you with yourself. How are you now compared to when we started this video? And your breath is now what it is. It's your authentic breath. Maybe it's settled a little bit, or maybe you've gotten a little bit out of its way. And can you sense a level of confidence about this breath? That it knows what it's doing. All we need to do is get out the way. More often than not, we constrict it, we try to change it before we even know it. How awesome is it? How awesome is your breath when you get out the way and allows time and space for it to be itself? And that actually applies to you yourself too. Maybe you just need a little bit of time and space and attention to feel a little bit more authentically you. There's the thought. So feel free to let me know how this worked for you, and if you've also got any more questions about breathing or breathing practices, or if you would like a little bit more support with this. I'm here, happy to chat about breathing, on a mission to make us all feel a little bit more confident and healthy with our breath. So good luck with continuing your breathing. Get out of the way of it and focus on other things that really need your attention. But ever so often, check it out, connect to your breath, befriend it again. And that's me for today. See you next time.